Hey guys, it's Raul again, and today I'm going to be bringing you my February wrap-up. So the month of February was actually a better month for me than January. I ended up completing 5 books. Now the first book that I was able to complete in the month of February was The Diviners by Libba Bray. Now I finally completed this book. I've been listening to this one on audiobook probably since October, but it is super long. This audiobook was 16 hours long. It kept being due back at the library, and I had to keep putting myself on the waiting list and waiting for it to be available again to then continue on with my listening. I ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars because I loved it. For those of you who don't know, The Diviners is a YA supernatural mystery that follows these different groups of people called the Diviners. They have special abilities. There's also this killer kind of on the loose going around killing all of these different people with abilities for whatever crazy motivation he has. And I really enjoyed this one. The audiobook was absolutely fantastic. This book, I've heard before from other people that have listened to the audiobook that it's fantastic, but now I see why. The narrator does an amazing job at doing all of the different voices for all the different characters, making them all feel distinct, and it was awesome. The story itself also I really enjoyed. It kept me intrigued from the very beginning. It had kind of these elements of horror and mystery that I really enjoy reading in books, and it was different and it was refreshing to kind of dive into a YA mystery and enjoy it from beginning to end. I feel like a lot of the times YA mysteries tend to be a little generic. I'm really excited to continue on with the series and excited that I finally finished this book in the month of February. The second book that I ended up completing in the month of February was My Brilliant Friend by Eleanor Ferrante. This is an adult literary fiction novel about these two friends. At the very beginning of the book, one of the friends kind of gets tired of her life and runs away. At the very beginning, they're adults. I think they're around 65, so they've lived a lot of their lives and everything. One of the friends ends up kind of disappearing because she hates kind of where her life is gone, and the other friend kind of sits down to write down their story of their relationship, their friendship, and trying to figure out why this one friend got so tired of her life that she decided to just pick up and run away from everything. So it's really interesting to kind of see their story and their from the very beginning of when they met and kind of how their relationship began to grow and everything. So this book definitely gave me kind of those feels and those memories of when I first kind of fell in love with reading again through literary fiction. I really enjoyed this one. I loved Eleanor Ferrante's writing and these characters that she kind of made us care for that I really enjoyed. It definitely was slower paced. I know a lot of people may not enjoy kind of the pacing of this one, but I honestly, like I said, I really enjoy literary fiction. I definitely loved it. I ended up giving this, I think it was a 4.5 stars or so. I'm super excited to see where the series continues on and to continue reading on this series because I really enjoyed this first one. The third book that I ended up completing in the month of February was The Return of Martin Guerre by Natalie Zeman Davis. Now this one I read for school for one of my classes, but I decided to throw it in here because I enjoyed it so much. And this is a kind of somewhat true story about this one guy named Martin Guerre who ends up kind of leaving his wife, disappearing, and one day this other man comes in and kind of tells everybody that he's the actual Martin Guerre and starts living his life, this imposter, as Martin, our main character, and kind of people don't really notice, and they lived a couple of years with this one guy that was pretending to be Martin, and then later on kind of they figure out that it's not him and take him to court, and then while they're in court, the real Martin shows up and kind of poop hits the fan kind of thing. So I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, I'm throwing it in here because it was something that I read for school, but something that I enjoyed, so I wanted to talk about it on here. And I really enjoyed this one. It was just there was a lot of assumptions and things that made it feel more like a literary fiction story instead of a non-fiction kind of historical retelling of something. So I really enjoyed kind of those fictional elements and all of those assumptions being in there because it kept me interested more than if it were just a history book. I really enjoyed the way that it was written. It was super quick to read. I got through this in a night or two. If you guys enjoy kind of historical fiction, this might be something that will interest you. I'm not sure if it's going to be for everybody, but like I said, I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it a 4 star. But yeah, this was definitely surprising for me, being something that I read for school and having enjoyed it so much. Now the next book that I ended up completing in the month of February was Scythe by Neal Shusterman. Now this book I absolutely loved. This was the first book by Neal Shusterman that I've ever read. I know that he's pretty popular. A lot of people know him. He's got a lot of books and stuff out. But this was, like I said, the first one that I've read by him, and this is a YA dystopian that takes place in kind of this world where, kind of think of it as the cloud, because they refer to it as the cloud that we see now that kind of stores all of this information and everything, kind of grows and becomes this huge kind of entity and being that kind of watches over everybody, kind of like God type thing. In this world, science and technology have kind of advanced in a way where nobody dies anymore. Like, people attempt to kill themselves and everything. And the cloud, which they refer to in this book as the Thunderhead, kind of prevents everyone from kind of killing each other, or for killing themselves and everything. So anytime somebody tries to attempt suicide or kill somebody else, outside of kind of their laws and everything, they're just brought back to life because the Thunderhead kind of controls everything. Now, this is where the Scythe come in to play in this one, because the Scythe are the people who are kind of ordained to kill the people in this world, to kind of control the population. Obviously, people aren't dying because, you know, they're being brought back to life and everything. So the population of Earth is kind of, you know, obviously very large. So the Scythe are the ones that are kind of ordained to control the population. So they can go ahead and kind of kill, I think it's like 200 and something people a year to control kind of the population and everything. But everybody else that isn't killed by the Scythe can kind of live hundreds of years, as long as they're not kind of chosen to die, I guess. The two main characters are selected to be apprentices for a Scythe, and neither of them really want to kind of have this job of like having to kill people. But if you are chosen to be a Scythe, your immediate family gets immunity and they can never die. So they, because of their family, because of the love that they have for their family and everything, they choose to go ahead and become Scythe apprentice and everything, and go on to learn kind of this art, they call it, of killing or gleaning, they refer to it in this book. And yeah, it's super interesting. I really loved the characters. I loved the story. The only issue that I really had with this book was kind of the pacing. Like, I felt like the author kind of breezed through some of the things and kind of jumped over things to kind of keep the story going, which I liked, because I like faster paced stories. I love where the characters went, the character growth and development and everything I thought was really, really good. I loved the villains in this one. I felt like they were just like good, like morally gray villains that kind of were doing bad things but thought they were doing them for good reasons and everything. I really enjoyed that also. And yeah, this was just a fantastic YA dystopian. Definitely one of the better YA dystopians that I've read. It does have a little bit of romance. It kind of feels insta-lovey at sometimes, but they don't really focus on it that much. It's a very, very small portion with everything that's going on in this one. So it's definitely not, I wouldn't consider it to be a typical YA romance within a dystopian world. And I'm super excited to continue on with the series. I don't know how many books are going to be in this series, but I'm super excited to continue on with it. And the last book that I ended up completing in the month of February was also another audiobook, and that was My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine Warga. This book is a YA contemporary about this girl who wants to commit suicide and goes online to this website to kind of find a suicide partner, somebody that she can go ahead and kill herself with, I guess. And like, in the midst of all of these things, they kind of learn to appreciate life with each other and everything, and they kind of teach each other to love life and to find things to live for. And I thought it was an absolutely, absolutely beautiful story. I was kind of in the mood toward the end of the month to read contemporary. So yeah, I ended up picking up this one on audiobook from my library, and I loved it. I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars because it was just such a beautiful story. Like I said, it was definitely something that I was in the mood for, so I think that's probably why I ended up enjoying it so much. But I loved it. I loved the writing, I loved the characters, I loved the development that they had and everything. And I don't really have much experience with the topic of depression and everything, so if you guys have read this book before and know if kind of the topic was done in a good way, let me know, because for me, like I said, I don't have much experience with depression or anything, so I don't really know if this was done in kind of a good, respectable way. So yeah, guys, that is it for all of the books that I read in the month of February. Comment down below, let me know what your favorite books were in the month of February. If you guys have read any of the books that I have mentioned here today, what your thoughts were and everything, please let me know. Thank you guys all again for watching, and I will see you all next time.